Hello everyone, this is Manjula Devi P. I am here to discuss about opportunities and challenges faced by Indian authorities in the implementation of Indian accounting standard, which is converged with IFRS. I am working as an assistant professor in GFGC Kanakpura. So let's see what are the opportunities and challenges which are in India with relating to this converged IFRS. So here I will be using Indian accounting standard in the short form IND AS, and for international financial reporting standards IFRS. So let's straight away go to the challenges in the implementation of IFRS. Here I mean to say the IND AS, which is converged with IFRS. So the first and foremost challenge here is lack of awareness of international financial reporting standards. So first and foremost, for many years, Indian companies have been following Indian accounting standards. Only after this 2001, when IFRS came into existence, so this concept of IFRS, in that way, in the timeline, it is very recent. Still, most of the people, though they are from commerce background, they may not know. They may not have a clear-cut idea about what is IFRS. So that becomes the biggest challenge. So they may think it is something very tough, something which is not suitable, like that. Like any new thing comes, like when GST came or when any new implementation comes, people without knowing, they start opposing or they start getting feared about the new things. That is, any change for that matter is resisted. That is the quite normal human nature. So that way, even for this IFRS also, for converging or for applying the IFRS concept, because of this lack of awareness, people may still don't want to get into this new converged IFRS. Then lack of trained manpower, yeah, that's one of the biggest challenge in fact. So as IFRS is kind of technical, instead of even accounting standard and its applicability, its the calculation, by nature it is technical. So that way, when it comes to IFRS, it requires trained manpower who can actually compare both what IFRS wants and what Indian accounting standard says, and converging both of it and applying it to the industrial world. So of course, trained manpower is needed. Of course, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is responsible for framing the IND AS, the converged IFRS, but still when it comes to the company level, for the application of it at the company level also, they need trained manpower. Then amendments in the existing laws, yeah. So when it comes to existing laws, see, there are many laws which are applicable when we talk about companies or when we talk about the corporate world. Like if we talk about taxation itself, every year it is subject to the Income Tax Act or Finance Act. And when it comes to human resource, of course, there are a whole lot of laws, Minimum Wages Act, Bonus Act, there are so many acts. Again, at the same time, again with regard to production, we have Factories Act, so many acts are there. That means, so when we do this convergence of IND AS with IFRS, so all these existing laws also need some changes, because when it comes to converged IFRS, there is something called bonus and share based payments. So now, what does Bonus Act talks about? What does Factories Act talks about? What does Finance Act talks about? Those particular items were basically included in the Indian accounting standard earlier. So now, as we are converging with IFRS, so nowhere it can contradict about the laws which is in place. So the only way is we have to make amendments to the laws itself. Okay, so that way, just implementing the or converging Indian AS with in IFRS, it's not just one way or one process. It requires whole lot of changes to be made to the existing laws. Then again, when it comes to fair value measurement, so here I should tell you, so right from the beginning, as we have started learning about accounts, we have accounts concepts and conventions. So there we have studied about, just to give an example, historic cost concept. So which talks about the fixed assets has to be shown at its original cost. That's been, we have been studying that from first PUC, historic cost concept. Even now, I think if you see the concepts and convention of first PU syllabus, it may be still there. But when it comes to the converged Ind AS, the whole base of showing the non-current assets, now we don't call it as fixed asset, it is termed as non-current asset, is completely changed. Not the same historic cost concept. We have something called as fair value measurement. So that means the old conventions what we had have undergone a change here in the framework of IFRS. So that makes it little difficult for the people to get along with this. Then again, complexity in adoption. So as I told, any new method or any new way of doing things of course involves certain amount of complexity, because change from one way to the other way, always that friction will be there in the initial stages at least. So that may create little complexity, and that can also be one of the challenge. Then we have time consuming process. So again, as I said, so throughout these years we were following one method of doing it. Now when it comes to the other method, of course there are many things has to be changed. Suppose you have a software which is built in and which has which was prepared according to Ind AS. Now you have to make the changes in the software itself, or you have to buy a new software which is in accordance with the converged Ind AS. So because of all that, so we have it is a time consuming process, because the entire manpower has to be trained, and the new softwares have to be installed, and new way of doing things has to be concluded. So all that takes time. Then high conversion costs, as I was talking about softwares and training and all, of course it comes with its own cost structure. You have to train your manpower, you have to upgrade your softwares, you have to find new ways of doing things. So all those in fact involves the cost, which may also part of this high conversion costs. So these are all could be the challenges which are there when we talk about the implementation of IFRS. So here we are not directly implementing the IFRS, we are changing the Indian accounting standard, or we are converging the Indian accounting standard in line with IFRS, and then we are following it. So of course it comes with bundle of challenges. Yeah, the same way, when there are challenges, of course there are opportunities. That means which gives rise to a lot of opportunities when we talk about this convergence of Ind AS with IFRS. So it is nothing but the advantages it offers to the company. First and foremost, it helps in accessing the global market. So as I told, once you are working in a global platform, and once your investors are confident about your base of the accounting standards you are following, and of course IFRS is internationally accepted, and once the country's accounting standards are in line with IFRS, definitely the investors would be happy and they would have confidence in your methods. So you can access the global market and you can get good capital formation. Then facilitates comparison. So here in this case, this is the main advantage, or this is the main opportunity which it actually gives. See, when you are preparing the financial reports based on a common standard, then it is easy to compare. Suppose if you are preparing the financial reports based on different countries' accounting standard in a different way, then you cannot compare the performances. What is the performance of the branch in India and in US, you cannot compare if both are prepared by following different set of accounting standards. If both have prepared with the same standards, then it is easy. It facilitates the comparison. So, comparability is one of the great opportunity that implementation or the convergence would result in. Then cross border listing. So, as your company as an MNC is getting listed in different stock exchanges, again if it is following the same set of standards rules, then it actually facilitates the easy listing in the different countries' stock exchanges. Then the whole quality of reporting, whether the terms you use or the treatment that you give to different items, so all that basically helps in enhancing the quality of it. So, that is one of the great opportunity which Ind AS, the converged Ind AS provides. Then we also have it eliminates multiple reporting. So, that means to say, as I said, suppose if the home country wants to know the performance, then it don't have to remake the reports according to its standard, because now in every branch the accounts are prepared by in the same way by following same set of rules, same set of standards. So, you don't have to make multiple reporting, like one reporting for the home country, one for the operating country. So, no need, because everywhere the same set of guidelines have been followed. So, this is one of the greatest opportunity or advantage that the implementation or the convergence of Ind AS with IFRS would promise. So, just to have a recap, of course, adoption of IFRS is not so easy. It has its own challenges while adopting. So, because any change or any upgradation needs its own time, its own cost element involved in. But at the same time, once if you come across or come over of these challenges, it provides a lot of opportunities for the growth. Okay, let's not take up the questions in this session. Okay, sorry. So, with this I would like to conclude about the opportunities and challenges of adopting the IFRS. Actually, implementation of IFRS, as we have discussed already, has a lot of challenges, like it requires time, it is complex, it requires its own cost structure. At the same time, once it is done, it gives a lot of advantages for the corporate world. Thank you very much. So, with this I would conclude my talk.